So maybe let's. So we're going to start with a little poll. It's a really simple one. Hands up if you have watched video on the internet in the last week. Yay! Pretty much full house. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about this live concept. So the power of live is the title of the talk. I'm going to painstakingly break down what I consider to be live streaming. Now, for some people in the room, this will be tedious and boring, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is to take a camera and a microphone and capture content, like the sound waves in a space and the light, the photons that are bouncing around, capture into the camera, like these cameras here and this microphone here, capturing live, real-time information, sending it to the internet, saying publish it immediately. We're not just going to record it and edit it later. No, we are putting it straight onto the internet. And if someone with a screen and speakers, like maybe speakers, maybe headphones, maybe a small screen, maybe a big screen, if they know where to look on the internet, then they can watch what's going on where the camera is. Okay, so maybe you all know this, but I just thought it was really important to break down what I consider to be live streaming. So, second poll, moving on. Hands up if you have watched a live stream video on the internet in the last week. Haha. So it's not zero. Wait, I have. It's not zero, but it's far fewer. So this means we still have some way to go. And it kind of brings me on to this concept that if something isn't live, then I'm terribly sorry, it's dead. Okay? So the live concept around capturing from camera and microphone something that's actually happening in the present moment, that's live. If it's recorded, if it's video on demand, it's dead. And this kind of brings me on to this concept of a live stream versus a dead stream, which is kind of like, it's slightly risque terminology, but I like to use it to kind of distinguish between the stuff that is being captured by a camera, because many people talk about Spotify and Netflix and Vimeo and YouTube, and this is all streaming, I guess. It's streaming video. It's not zero, but it's far fewer. So this means we still have some way to go. And it kind of brings me on to this concept that if something isn't live, then I'm terribly sorry, it's dead. Okay? So the live concept around capturing from camera and microphone something that's actually happening in the present moment, that's live. If it's recorded, if it's video on demand, it's dead. And this kind of brings me on to this concept of a live stream versus a dead stream, which is kind of like, it's slightly risque terminology, but I like to use it to kind of distinguish between the stuff that is being captured by a camera, because many people talk about Spotify and Netflix and Vimeo and YouTube, and this is all streaming, I guess. It's streaming video, but it's not happening here and now. And it kind of brings me on then to the questions, like, why am I standing up here talking about live, and I spend my entire life and I bore people to tears with talking about live? And it made me think about, like, okay, why do I really believe that live is so powerful? And I think the number one thing I could come up with here is just because it's more valuable. And thinking about how, like, information is never as valuable as when it has just been created. It's always decaying. It loses value over time. Like, one example I thought of for this was, like, there was probably a recording somewhere of the very, very first Livepeer community call, right? It must exist somewhere. And it was nice, and we could all go back and look at it and then think about nostalgia and about great, and like think about what the original vision was and original value, and that's valuable for sure. But like the most recent community call, the last one that happened whenever it was, a week or so, a couple of weeks ago, where we talk about what we're going to do with layer 2, what we're going to do about the future, what we're going to do in this present moment, what we're working on now. For me, I don't know about you, but that's more valuable for me. It's the present moment. So this is kind of bringing on to, the other example is the Beatles. I'm a big fan of the Beatles. We all know the Beatles, hopefully. And like, I've heard some of their songs like probably like a million times, and they're still nice and everything. But I try and imagine what it must have been like to be part of a group of people, hearing them perform live and hearing these songs for the very first time, like the value of it, like there were girls screaming in the audience, like it must have been insane. So this kind of is my first concept around, like, the more live the content is, the more fresh it is, and the longer you let it kind of sit recorded on a hard drive, it just gets stale, kind of like food. So kind of, it also brings up this concept of currentness, how up to date the information that I'm consuming is, and like related somehow with concept of currency, and we're in like cryptocurrency environment. So I realize some of the things I'm talking about are a little bit esoteric, but like there's this whole term about like yesterday's news is yesterday's news, but live is not. It's today's news. It's in this present moment's news. It's like the most up-to-date news you could possibly have. So moving on again, the next question, it's kind of like a nice segue, and it's a topic very close to my heart around real-time monetization. So if you have this most valuable content being published at the time when it is at its most valuable, then monetizing this ought to be something that's relatively easy to do. Or maybe like monetizing it when it's live, that's the time at which whoever's creating the content ought to be able to command the highest price for it. If you believe the theory about the fresher the content is, the more valuable it is. And this kind of brings me to concepts that I think Fran from Superfluid is going to be talking about a little bit later on, so connecting the whole stream to earn, pay to play kind of concepts. You live stream content in one direction, and in real time you get live stream value, live stream money, live stream like financial wealth accumulating in the other direction. And this, yeah, nice, wait, what does it say? This has been described by a friend of mine as like, if you could make some system where the creator can sit down, click start streaming, and like watch the money roll in as they're performing, and at the end they can be like, wow, I made $20 in that last hour, that's nice, that'll pay for my lunch or for dinner, then that would represent for artists and creators a quantum leap forward compared to where they're at right now, begging and eating the scraps off the table from big centralized platforms. So that's kind of like where I'm at. And yes, to plug again, Fran is going to be talking at 2 about Superfluid, which is a super cool like money streaming platform running on Ethereum. So kind of keep an eye out for that one later. Shifting slightly topics now from sort of the value and the money kind of concept more around like connection and human participation. I think live really connects us. Like in some ways, like right now you're watching this live, I'm here, I'm live, I'm real. You're feeding back to me. I'm giving content to you. You're giving me some of your energy. I'm giving you some of my, it's participatory. Participatory, yeah. So it's one of those things that it actually provides some scope for participation, for collaboration, for interaction with the audience. Like if you're watching a Deadstream video, and you can clap and whatever, and you can kind of contribute, you can put something in a kind of chat, but like it's not happening here and now, and crucially, you've got no way of influencing what's actually happening on the screen. But if suddenly you're in a live context, then you can start to send things to what you're watching and maybe start to participate somehow in the whole spectacle that is happening as part of the live stream. And this kind of brings another example around, and Eric kind of touched on it earlier, this whole concept about taking a video conference call where like you and I, Titan, are in a video conference call and it's live and we're talking to each other and interacting. But we could also be live streaming this out to the world, our interactions. And if someone wants to be watching us, they could also come and join the conversation. And it opens up this scope for like mass collaboration in a decentralized way in real time that's fully transparent and shareable with anyone. I realize I've just said a lot of words, so if anyone needs to know more about that, then please ask me later. And it's kind of like characterized by this concept of Zoom meets Twitch, like these two concepts that traditionally are quite separate, this whole world of sort of live real-time video conferencing, Hangouts and Skype and FaceTime and things that we all use all the time. See if we can combine that with Twitch-like things, which is like mass one-to-many communications, and like interesting to kind of talk about how to merge these things. But again, I'm getting maybe a little bit esoteric now. But one really good example of something that is live and working today and built on Livepeer is something called Huddle. So Huddle here has the ability to host a real-time, maybe it's a bit obscure, but a real-time chat between two parties. And then within that chat, you can click, I think we should start live streaming this chat. And moving it on, someone can watch this chat and participate by giving kind of chat down the side. Maybe these slides haven't done it justice, but Huddle as a platform for kind of incentivizing and creating a forum for mass decentralized collaboration and transparent sharing and full broadcasting, it's some of the finest stuff I think we've seen building on top of Livepeer. So I would recommend go try it out. And that, like, you can't have a chat about Livepeer, about Live without putting the big Livepeer logo up there, but this, I guess, is to remind me to just kind of to communicate how like all these things for me are just so exciting as ways to connect us as humanity in real time, in the present moment. And the infrastructure that we're building as part of Livepeer and running as part of Livepeer, it's like smack bang exactly what we need to create this infinite digital stage, that we can all go and dance and sing and perform and talk on and share on and collaborate on in ways that have the potential to connect humanity together in ways that like very few people have ever dreamed of having the scale to do this. And like this for me is why I think Live is particularly kind of interesting. So wrapping up, I don't know how I'm doing for time. I haven't thought about time at all. I've just got a 5 minutes thing. This is perfect. So we'll have a few time for questions. So wrapping up, going back to this kind of live stream versus dead stream theme, is to start thinking about how we, the colors we use. This is really esoteric now, so I apologize if this is way too far. But thinking about the colors that we use. Now, this is taken from like old analog sort of concept of buttons for so record and play and pause and stop. And interesting how like red is always record, and it's kind of has connotations of sort of you are being recorded and like things are being stored about what's going on here. And then of course there's things like YouTube, which is very kind of red branded, which has interesting connotations in nature. And then back to this play concept, the kind of like, okay, this is the thing I wanted, this is where I can kind of get the fun stuff. It's like green and natural and pure and organic and sustainable and eco-friendly and good for the environment and all this kind of thing. And it's kind of no great surprise that one of the original Livepeer colors from the Livepeer palette is this beautiful green. And it just makes me think about like whether there's some narrative we can start weaving into how we talk about video, because the whole live stream, dead stream thing, it's a bit risque and a bit dark, but just thinking about whether we can have live being green feels good to me. I don't know. And like maybe green is live and red is dead, but again, this is kind of a bit maybe risque. But I put it up there anyway on a slide. Anyway, I've said a lot of things. I'm really interested to know if anyone has anything they want to add or question. But before I go to questions, I just want to do a quick plug for ETH Prague, 10th to the 12th of June. If you're still around in Europe, come and hack, come and talk. I believe Livepeer is sponsoring it, so it should be kind of a good venue to kind of keep building community. So you can sign up at ethprague.com, come and get a sticker from me afterwards. But I believe there was a question at the back. Yeah. Cute. Cute. Thank you very much. Ah, Titan.
You talked about green.
Yes.
One of our orchestrators, Solar Farm, uses only green energy for his
Yes, wow.
I just wanted to plug him real quick, and maybe he's not here, but
Solar Farm, Papa Bear. We love Solar Farm, Papa Bear. I haven't verified it myself, but what I understand is happening there is Papa Bear runs Livepeer, Orchestrator, and Transcoder that processes video, and it's all powered by solar. And like, I don't know, in this world of, blockchains are too kind of environmentally unfriendly, it's like, I think we've got some nice narrative to feed in there on the whole kind of live is green and red is dead. Ah, we have another question.
Yeah, I've been streaming for about 20 years now, and most of it has been on-demand dead stream, and I hope I've added value with what I'm streaming.
For sure.
My question is, why do you want to, for me, those two, live stream and on-demand dead stream, are two totally separate things.
Right.
So my question is, why are you pitching the two against each other?
I wouldn't say I'm pitching them against each other. What I'm trying to do, what I observe is a lot of people come to Livepeer, and like sometimes they come and they say, I really love Livepeer, I really want to use stuff on Livepeer, where can I upload a video? And a little bit it breaks my heart, because these people come and they see that there's a new platform and they think that it's like YouTube and they can upload a video and have it stored in the internet. Little bit there's kind of like, I mean, there's a clue in the name, it's the Livepeer thing. But a little bit it breaks my heart that people come, and I think we can use different words to communicate that this really is about live, because even within our own community we still talk about streaming, and for me that's ambiguous, which is why I add the words in front of streaming. Oh, wow, question from Yonden. Yes, thank you. And I think we had one question, last question maybe over here.
About this, if you have a live event and you are a content creator, what is the biggest problem, like if you are an artist want to have a concert, how do you get the audience there on time? So you have to advertise, you used to give out flyers, or you tell your community, come, we have a concert, always very exciting, is enough people coming up? So that's the problem of the artist. How do I have a great situation, wonderful film, how like all the people in the world that are interested about this, how do they find me, how I find them, so how I advertise this stuff like the solution, that's what we need.
Sorry. I think for me, the way I'd answer that question is, there are two ways you can go about like sharing things. One is to schedule things, and have a plan, and like advertise a time in the future where people know that they have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and try and kind of drag everyone to that place at that time, or to their computer at that time, which has its challenges, as we all know. People arriving late, people not arriving at all. And the other way is just to say, to hell with all that. Going to publish spontaneously, and if someone's there to see it, then they're there to see it, and that's great. Shame, but it is what it is. That's all. That's how. The only way I feel I can answer that question. Sure, for sure, for sure. So discovery of content, especially if you, because many people think about planning and scheduling it, and like thinking about how we can make content discoverable. Well, 1 minute over. Yeah, maybe let's talk afterwards. Okay, thank you very much.